Well, we're sitting here on day one, right?
Yes.
Not day two?
No.
All right, day one. And we got Casey Hollinsworth here. She's picked up her Mustang, and I think she picked it up yesterday. And we're going to talk a little bit about what she thinks so far and her first interactions with it and see how it all went. So when did you leave to go down there?
Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning.
Which today's Thursday, so 2 days ago.
Tuesday. And so you drove down one day and then stayed overnight?
Yeah, it's such a long drive that the last time, whenever I picked up my last Mustang, it was really hard to get up there late and then turn around, get loaded, and get back. So I went ahead and went up and stayed the night so that we could be in line and ready to pick up first thing the next morning.
I see. How does that process work when you go to pick it up? So what happens?
So everybody kind of lines up at the gate. They were supposed to open the gate at 8 o'clock, and then they come out, open the gate. We all gather under a roof, and they tell us how the draw works and where we need to go, which window we need to go to get our horse. And then we just line up, tell them our name, and they give us our random draw horse. Then we go and we give them a loadout sheet, and they gather our horse out of the pen or and get it over there by itself, and then run it up a chute and load it in the trailer.
All right, so you just back up and run it on?
Yeah, just like you load cattle.
Oh boy. All right. And so then how long of a trip was it home?
It's 5.5 to 6 hours.
Okay. All right. Well, I was here when you got here. Everything was pretty quiet in the trailer. And so I think you have a little bit of video on unloading her.
Yes.
And we don't have a name yet, right?
No name.
Oh goodness.
There's like 15 of them.
Yeah. We've had haven't you had suggestions from everything from toddlers to adults?
Yes. Yes.
All right. And so when did you first have an interaction with her after we unloaded her here in the pen?
It was directly following. We unloaded her, and I shut the panel and just kind of let her walk around for a minute. And I wanted to get in and actually get some pictures without a panel in between us or without a horse trailer in between us. And so I stepped inside to take a picture of her, and she wasn't bothered at all whenever I went in there. I mean, I was even kneeling down. And she just kept her ear on me, and so I went ahead and moved in just a little bit, and at that point in time, she just went ahead and reached out and nudged my hand as I was getting up close to her. So that proved to me she was probably going to be pretty sensible.
Yes. Yeah. So what all have you done with her so far? I mean, after that interaction, what? So that was last night?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what this morning look like?
So I got here this morning. You had that lesson last night. So
yes.
With all the cattle and so many people in here, I was kind of unsure of how she was going to settle in overnight. The only thing I wish was a little different. I wish she would have picked up to eating a little quicker, but she was still really calm this morning. I got in I had a halter hanging on the fence and a lariat rope with the breakaway Honda. And I got in there and I just started kind of chucking the tail of the rope over her back, and I honestly suspected that she would kind of squirt forward a little bit, but I think she only gave me about 15 seconds of trotting around, and then she just kind of settled in. And then I went ahead and I built my loop and I roped her, and even with the breakaway Honda, she never once pulled against me hard enough to break that away. She picked up on coming up off of it pretty quick. And then I was able to start moving up and using that rope to touch her across the nose and up the face. And then I just kind of replaced it with my hand. And since I had roped her, she was used to the rope and stuff being around her neck and around her face. So putting a halter on her wasn't any problem. Then I got to start touching her just a little bit, and I can touch her from the face all the way back to the flank, down to the lower abdomen, down both legs, both front legs. I haven't really messed a whole lot with the hip yet, but she's coming off of it pretty good. We had a second session. which on that first session, she had caught something out of her eye and she went to turn around and then she caught me out of the opposite eye and she kind of had a squirt moment. But she came back good. The second session, she wasn't sure. We kind of started back at ground zero, but then it didn't take long to get her back to where we finished at the first session. So that's really all I can ask, is that that it just gets a little quicker. We can get there just a little quicker each time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she seems pretty calm. I mean, last night, like you said, we had lessons in here, and I had 4 or 5 people in here, and we had like 12 cows in here. And that's kind of right after she got unloaded out of the trailer. And I'm at one end of the barn and giving lessons on cows. And she never acted up or anything. It stayed pretty calm, and she's been nibbling at her hay a little bit here, a little bit off and on, and seems pretty sensible. And I watched you work with her this morning, and seems like she was making headway, and she tries to think. She's a thinker.
Yes. I've found that something that I liked about her was so many times we get one that hasn't been handled and they feel that pressure and their immediate response is to go into it.
Uh-huh.
And with her, like you would see her and she'd kind of lean left and she'd feel that and she'd come off of it immediately. Then she went right. Mm-hmm. and leaned on it a little bit, but then came off of it almost immediately and then stepped forward. And it was, so there was definite try there. And it wasn't pressure, oh, I need to leave now. That's uncomfortable. Like she really took time searching for the answer.
We're sitting here looking at her right now. She's in the pen. If you guys hear any background noise, it's raining off and on here, and we're recording this inside the barn, and we have a tin roof. So we apologize for any background noise off and on here, but she's exploring the pellets right now. It looks like, isn't she? I think this is the first time she's got hay and water in here with her, and then she's got some alfalfa pellets, and she is, for the first time, it looks to me like dabbling in it with her nose, and she's actually exploring it. And she come over and just took a drink too.
And it took forever for Bing to start after those pellets. Yeah. I had to layer them in his hay before he would even put his nose in them. So I'm glad to see that she's interested.
And so tell us again how old she is.
She's 7. And I have a rule as far as outside horses that I don't start colts over the age of 5. And here I am with a wild horse that's 7. That's probably because she was gathered on October 31st of 2021. Okay. And so she was a 5-year-old whenever they put her into, like, processed her and put her into the holding pens. And so she's probably had babies.
Probably. Yes.
She's definitely much more mature than Bing was as far as body-wise goes. And her mind is I think more mature as well. Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, I mean, 5 years in a horse's life is a lot.
It is.
So she's a biggin.
She is. How tall do you think she is?
15'1" is what
I'd
we had kind of talked about. And she's not. I really thought I'd get up closer to her, and I'd be like, oh, she's not that big. But I got up to her and I was like, nope, she's still big. She's still big.
She's pretty stout. She's a lot stouter than Bing that you had last, definitely. And he wasn't near as tall as this mare right here. And she does have a long forelock and decent mane. Her tail is, pretty thick, it looks to me like.
Compared to Bing's last year. His, I don't think, reached his hocks last year. So I'm happy with that for sure. She's got good feet underneath her. They have, you can tell they have before they came. I really don't know how they do it. I don't know if they give them something and knock them out and then put them in like a squeeze chute or exactly how they do it. But it looks like her feet, they've done something in the holding pens.
Okay. So they may have trimmed them in the holding pen.
Yeah. But I'm just unsure as to how they get that done.
Yeah.
Because whenever they put her up into that squeeze chute, so normally they have a tag around their neck with their identification number. And like with Bing, I was able to take that off of him as soon as I could touch him. This year at Paul's Valley, the holding facility I picked her up at, they said they weren't leaving tags on anything due to safety reasons. I don't know if they have had something happen, but they cut them off of all the horses. So
Okay.
whenever they put her in the chute and they got over there and cut her tag off, she wasn't hitting the front of the chute. She wasn't running backwards. The only thing is, the kid that did it, he put his hand on her back and she sunk down about 6 inches. So I'm hoping that means that she's just going to be a little sensitive and we can use that and
Yes.
work on that.
Yes. So, well, what's the most? What do you like most about her so far?
I like how sensible she is, of course, because even the last makeover, my biggest thing was they could look like a donkey. I didn't really care what they looked like. I didn't care what color they were as long as they were trainable. And I like how curious she's been, like in the trailer, even coming up and sniffing anybody looking into the trailer. So the sensibility and the curiosity is my biggest thing, but I also like her build and I like how much bigger she is than Bing was last year.
Yeah, she's a saddle is probably going to fit her pretty good too. She does have a little bit of a wither, but she is 7, I guess.
She's a little more mature than most.
Yeah. All right. So how are you going to start? What do you think tomorrow? Like, what are you looking at? Or are you going to interact with her anymore today? It's about, I don't know, is it 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon?
It is
day 1?
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
So I plan on going in one more time this afternoon to do a haltering session. Since the second time I went in there, she did have that moment where she regressed just a little bit. And so I want to do another haltering session. And if that goes well, then I may just brush her down just a little bit. But then tomorrow, whenever I come in, again, it's the haltering session. That's going to have to happen every time that I interact with her. But I'm hoping that tomorrow maybe we'll be able to do some sending stuff and get the hindquarters disengaging just a little bit. And because I've got that nose, I feel like the second session on the leading, she came around really well. And so now that I've got that nose just a little softer, I feel like I can move on and start working on the other stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
But we also did today, like in the second session, I was able to take that lead rope and throw it up and over her back, both sides. And I did a lot of changing eyes in the front. I haven't done changing eyes in the back yet because, well, I don't want to get kicked. And your wife told me I can't get myself killed. So.
No, you can't get killed.
So I'm not changing eyes in the back yet, except on the outside of the round pen. Like whenever I walked around to the other room, that was the first time that she didn't immediately turn around and try to face me.
Yeah.
But changing eyes a lot in the front, just petting one side and going down to the shoulder and then walking around and going to the other side. And then just in the next couple of days, really build on that. If she does good with that and the sending and the disengaging, then the lunging will come and be able to redirect her with her nose. And then we'll get to, we don't do a lot of it, but we're going to have to do a little bit of the desensitizing to get her saddled.
Yes.
And then move forward with that.
So talk a little bit about the getting them, what you and I, we talk about a lot about getting them halter broke and what you really look for in that, and where sometimes it might be missed on general halter breaking that people do, and where there's might be some gray area there.
Well, I think that where the common misconception is if people can get their horse to just follow them, then that's considered leading, that's considered halter breaking, which that's not a bad thing. But in reality, we need these horses to come up off the lead rope. We need to, whenever we pull, whenever they feel the slack come out, they feel that feel coming up to their chin. And then if you're pulling, it's coming up around the pole. Then we need them to actually come up off of that pressure, because when they're tied, there's nothing to follow.
Right.
And so if they hit the end of that lead rope, our best chance for them not pulling back is if they come up off of that pole pressure.
Yes.
And so that's whenever I talk about like the sending starting sending with her tomorrow, it's going to be, that's what it's going to be based on is, will this horse come up off that pole pressure? And then of course I'll have aids in there that I help her because she's not going to understand what that is in the beginning. But our goal is that whenever she feels that tug, she feels that pressure, that she comes up off of it and searches forward, opposed to running backwards or just resting against it.
Yes, and they're learning how to search.
Yes.
So much better, and that transfers to the saddle. And so much groundwork, we've talked about this a lot. We feel like so much groundwork sometimes doesn't transfer to the saddle, and so it leaves a lot of gray area and a lot of areas for when you put that first ride on. There's a lot more chance that it could go bad, not good. But we try to eliminate all those gray areas, and
which, we kind of had that episode, that incident, I guess, with Bing last year on his first ride.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about that.
So with Bing, which was he was my horse for the last Extreme Mustang Makeover, we got on the first ride, and something that it's kind of a fine line that you walk with these wild horses is that pushing just enough to get the response that you're asking and not so much that they become fearful. And so I knew he had been doing it. When we teach one to lunge, we want us to be the thing that they magnetize to. We want them to be drawn to us in the middle. And so I had really worked on that and got it really good. Well, then what it turned into whenever I was sending him around is that he would crowd you a little bit in the middle.
Right.
And so we got on him first ride. I was so excited. Jason was working me online, and we do that so we can be busier than a cat burying poo. We can slap our legs, we can rub them all over, and they know that there's a familiar being in the middle and doing familiar things that they know.
And this is how we start every colt.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
I mean, you've been here how long now?
3 years.
3 years here, and it's definitely a lot smoother operation when you have a partner that can help you start these colts, which allows, like you said, to move all over them and move your arms and slap your hands and do everything you can so that they're at least trusting you on their back, so that you might be able to actually pick up on something, get them to follow their nose.
Yes.
So go ahead again.
And you're like, well, let's go ahead and let him see you out of the other eye. And we got through that, and then we sent him out, and then you said, okay, we're going to change directions. We changed directions, and he ducked in and got on the wrong side of the lead rope. And so I had to, you couldn't save me at that point.
No.
So I reached down and I picked it up and I just lifted. And because we had done so much work at the end of that lead rope, he immediately disengaged quickly.
Yes.
And then we
off of the feel of his nose.
Yes. And that was not, yes, we had done it on the ground, but he had never had it done from his back before.
No.
But because of how we done it on the ground, it transferred to his back. And so I got him shut down, and we had left, and Jason went to approach him again, and I could feel underneath me that he wasn't quite ready for Jason to grab a hold of him yet. So I just kind of prepared myself, and he went to leave, and I picked up again. He immediately disengaged. You were able to step up there and grab him, and everything else was really good.
Yeah.
Which that taught me a lot of lessons that I need to get them off of me a little sooner.
Yeah. When you're working them around and lunging them, and you go to change and go the other way, kind of like a rollback, what we had happen is that horse came into my space in the center, and I had to back up a step, and as it went by me, it turned the other direction, which if I'd have held onto the lead rope, basically would have wound you up
yes.
into the lead rope.
Yes.
And we do a lot of colts here, and Casey starts a lot of them. I don't start as many anymore, but I did let go of the lead rope, and then she reached down and did pick the lead rope up, and as soon as that horse felt the halter, it walked its hind around and stopped moving and gave her a chance to gather everything and get things lined back up.
And I know I could not have been more thankful because I did not, especially with a horse like that his only interaction with, and hers too, their only interactions with people is now. And so, I need I need them all to be good.
They need to be good. And this is the first ride.
Yes.
But it did demonstrate that he did end up being a really good, gentle horse, and you done a good job with him. And he where is he at now?
He is in Arkansas City, Kansas.
Arkansas City, Kansas.
Yes, I got to keep him over the winter and get to ride him for just a little bit longer for his new owners.
Yeah.
And he's just as good as gold. Like nothing rattles him, nothing worries him. He's just. I was very fortunate with my first draw.
He had a really good mind, really, really good mind, and most people would get along with that horse in anything they wanted to do with him. He's a pretty good partner.
Yes.
Well, we hope this one is. No names.
No.
We don't have a name yet. What are we going to do about that?
Maybe I just need all 15 that I have picked out. We can just have all of them. And people do them like registered names and stuff for their stall poster. So I could just do that, and the whole poster would be nothing but names.
Yeah, 15 names.
Yes.
Yeah, looks like someone signed a birthday card.
Yes.
But well, all right. So this is wrapping up. You're going to call it day one because it's the first day she has been here.
Yes.
We still have no name.
No name.
But we did get a halter on it, and you rubbed it down the side, underneath, and back to the flank. And it is giving to the halter a little bit.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
And it hasn't jumped over the fence
No, it's
anything like
still
that.
here.
So, yes.
It's still here.
Yes.
All right. Well, I guess we'll finish up with that, and then we will probably try to. Do you want to do this? You think every couple of days, or every day, or what do you think on this, or once a week?
What do you think? I would say once a week.
Once a week?
Yeah, because we have big changes now, but we're going to get to a point where it's not as big of changes every day.
Right.
But I do know that like in 7 days I'll have to send a follow-up report with the BLM.
Yeah.
To and I've got to send pictures for condition and all of that. So we can kind of do it like that.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just do it again here before long, and keep everybody updated.